Hey guys, VGManiac456 here, and as you can tell from the title of this video, this is my idea of retro courses for the upcoming Mario Kart U for the Nintendo Wii U. Now granted, we don't know anything about the game just yet, but it doesn't stop me or anyone else from doing these kind of vids, so yeah. Without delaying any further, let's get on with the courses in game order, because with me and labeling what courses should go in which cup, it doesn't really work out very well because I don't know very well on difficulty. So some people may say this one's more difficult, some of them may say that course is easy though, so that's one reason why I'm not putting these in specific orders in the cups, so yeah. And I'm delaying this on, so why am I continuing on? The first course in my list is Super NES Vanilla Lake 1. It's one of the two ice courses in Super Mario Kart, and it's a kind of a simplistic little ice course. Vanilla Lake 1, the ice course offers water in the corners of the course that you'll probably not even fall off, honestly, but there's also pipes, there's blocks, and there's also ice blocks that if you hit them, they'll disappear, but they're essentially just an obstacle in general. So the ice blocks will probably be a big hazard and mostly probably the main attraction of this course. I honestly would like to see Vanilla Lake because it's a kind of a cool little course. I always liked Vanilla Lake. The second course is Super NES Bowser Castle 3. And this course actually has like thin pathways where you can have tricky item placements, so that could be a little bit sneaky. The twomps are kind of close to one another, so that can also be tricky. On the actual course, there's ramps and zip pads in some places, so that's also something to take note of that this time trial footage doesn't show. There's also multiple paths you can take from that ramp portion that we just probably went through, because I'm not actually watching my footage right now, but I'm just pointing this out. And there's also that fork area where you can pick one of three paths, which it again has a ramp, one has a zip pad, and so on and so forth, and then you get to the finish line, and then voila. Also, I always like the music of Bowser Castle 3, well, Bowser Castle and Super Mario Kart. So that's one reason why I would like to actually see Super NES Bowser Castle be in a Mario Kart Retro course. So yeah. Plus we already seen too many of GBA Bowser Castle. Just pointing that out. Regardless though, the next game is Mario Kart 64. And its courses are, first off, Royal Raceway. And Royal Raceway is Peach's home course, and this one offers a ton of areas to cut through the grass with mushrooms and stars, so it's not really that difficult to get a good time on. There's also a water as a hazard, but of course you're probably not going to fall into the water all that much, but if you cut the corner a little bit too sharply, you might fall in the water. But additionally, the main attractions here are mainly the giant ramp to continue on with the course, which honestly, if you aim wrong, you will actually hit the mountain on the side, and that may let you lose time. And if you hit the mountain right before you hit the road, you'll fall into the water. And I kind of forget if you land into the road next to the mountain or if you go back on the ramp to try again. I kind of forget about that. I think you go back to the ramp. But if you hit the mountain on the side while you're on the road, yeah, you'll slow down anyways. And there's also Peach's Castle, which is a reference to Super Mario 64. But obviously, if this was a retro course, it would probably use the Super Mario Galaxy design of Peach's Castle, or maybe the new Super Mario Bros. Design. I don't know. They always retain the same design of Peach's Castle ever since Super Mario 64, so I'm not gonna actually complain about it now, will I? But yeah, Peach's Castle. No, I almost said it again. Royal Raceway is kind of a nice little course. It's pretty nice. I like it. Plus the theme is always nice. I always like the music theme on there. Next off, we have Yoshi Valley, and this one is mainly a multiple path course. And since this is a multiple path course, you can take whichever route you want. Sort of. But since it's multiple paths, you may be thinking, well, which path is the fastest? Well, obviously, whatever path I chose first, which you see in the footage. But there are other paths you can take, obviously, and they could obviously put some kind of extra secrets in the area, and obviously you could get like a special good item for taking the longer path. I mean, you could always do that. It's not really recommended to do that, but you can, honestly. And obviously another hazard is the fact that you can fall off the ledge of each of the in the valley, so you might end up losing time quite a bit. Obviously there is that shortcut to avoid that large U-turn, but I could never manage to do this on this footage. I don't know if I'll show that, but yeah, honestly I had trouble sometime trying to get that to work. Also, there's that Yoshi egg, that humongous Yoshi egg, that will sometimes block your path to get to the bridge. That will become a big hazard, unless you have a star, a bullet bill, or something that will protect you from damaging you, from flattening you like a pancake. And honestly, that is probably the biggest hazard, because the Yoshi egg can block your path from the bridge. That's happened before several times. And obviously, before the finish line, you could cut through the grass, and booyah. That's what you can do to get a faster time. Of course, with a mushroom star, that will make it easier. Next off, we have the GBA courses. First off, we have Sunset Wilds. Sunset Wilds is sort of like an, I guess if this was going to be a retro, it would be one of the earlier courses because of how simplistic it is. But something that I like about this course is the fact that it has teepees, and these teepees contain Shy Guys, and that will cling onto you if you hit their teepees, and they'll slow you down until you shake them off of you. And that's one thing. And there's also totem poles that have the Shy Guys on there, which is also a nice little detail. But one other detail that I always liked about this course is the fact that it changes the time on the course. Like, after each lap, it'll change it from sunset to nighttime. That I always liked. I always liked that whole atmosphere of it. It was something that I always liked about it. So I like Sunset Wilds, but other than that, there isn't really much to talk about the course, so yeah, but I always liked Sunset Wilds. I always thought it was better than Shy Guy Beach, honestly. Okay, so next off we have the Lakeside Park, and this one is actually a Special Cup course. This one, it was a little kind of tricky to discuss about because it's a course with an active volcano that will blast magma rocks to hit and burn Mario and company during the race, and you know, it seems like a simplistic course with a simplistic gimmick into it, but because we've had plenty of courses that have something like this, like Grumble Volcano and such, but what we don't have is a course that is a troll like this. There's a side ramp before a ramp that's an actual ramp that allows you to progress. If you hit that side ramp, which is next to the zip pad, you'll go off course and have to retrack your traces to even continue on with the course. So if you hit that side ramp, yeah, you gotta backtrack all over again, and that wastes time, and it's kind of a troll little course on that aspect. There's another side little ramp thing, but I don't think that one actually does much harm. I never actually tried to show that off, but honestly, I've had that happen several times to me. When I played Mario Kart Super Circuit, I always hit that side ramp, and it would always mess me up. That was always a bothersome. That really was. Now we have Broken Pier, a Ghost Valley-esque course with two things that makes it different. And not just because of the background, no. Two things that makes it different is the boosts that hover around the course, which if you hit them, they'll slow you down. And if this was Super Circuits, it will make you lose coins. But additionally, invisible bridges. That I always liked about these GBA Boo courses. There was invisible bridges. This one was actually longer than Ghost Valley 2, I think it was, in Mario Kart Wii's retro courses. And honestly, I always thought this course was far more superior than Ghost Valley 2, but if you actually remove the booze and the invisible bridges, it would still be probably a lot better than Ghost Valley 2, if you ask me. But, that's just me though. I honestly liked Broken Pier. It was kind of a nice little course, but yet again, I always liked the whole invisible bridge thing. It made it unique compared to the other Ghost courses. And Nintendo, make another Ghost course, like a Ghost related course. You haven't made one since Mario Kart DS. Just want to point that out. Okay, so now we're done with GBA courses. Let's get on with the GCN side of things. Double Dash, of course. The first course is Dry Dry Desert, and Dry Dry Desert would technically be under the same sequence like Sunset Wilds. It would be a easy course because it's not really that hard. But the first off, you got that snake sort of turn, but you can also skip that, you know, go straight through it with a mushroom or star, so that's actually something you can do. But one major gimmick that you probably want to avoid is that whirlwind that will probably slow you down, that changes its positions throughout the entire course of the race. So yeah, there's also pokies around that will bend down and try to hit you, but they never really hit me all that much when I played through the race, so that's not really a big deal. What is a big deal though is that gigantic circle. If you go into that quicksand, if you try to cut through it too much, you'll fall into that quicksand, lose too much time, lose precious time, and seconds, and items, whatever you got. And that's actually no good. That is certainly no good, and overall, that's about all there is to it. Dry Dry Desert, yeah, that's all there is to about Dry Dry Desert. It's actually not really much to about the course, but I always like the course. So yeah, the whirlwind, watch out for it. It slows you down. Next off, we have Mushroom City from Double Dash, yet again. This one is yet again sort of like under the aspect of Moon View Highway or whatever, and honestly, this one is not a bad course. This one, I always liked the whole city theme of it. It was nighttime, and you know, you got these cars that will hit you and they'll try to slow you down. You also got those bomb cars and such, but the one thing that I never saw in Mario Kart Wii was all the mushroom cars and the Wiggler buses. Another thing to keep in about Mushroom City is that there is 3 paths you can take in that middle part, and you know, there is that left path, straighter on path, there's also that right path, and there's also, during the midst of the middle path, which is the straightaway, when you're doing that one turn in the beginning of the race, there's also a small path that you can take, which I always seem to fail on during the time trial recording for some reason. That part, it gives you an item, and, you know, it's there for just an item purpose, and that's about all there is to it. I mean, you can get the item if you want to, but honestly, unless you got a cart unless you're very maneuverable, very easy to maneuver through small areas, ignore that item. So, yeah, just keep going on whatever path you want to go through. And also, there's that final straightaway, which, honestly, you either can go against traffic, which can go against you if there's a bomb car, or you could go into that very thin area with a mushroom or star, but yet again, I think it's easier to go against the traffic, honestly, if you're in a big cart or big bike or whatever. They're gonna add bikes in Mario Kart U again. So yeah, that's Double Dash's courses. Now let's go to Mario Kart DS's courses, which, much like Mario Kart GBA, there's 3 of them. The first one is Tick-Tock Clock, and this one, I always like the whole aspect theme of it because you're inside a clock, and obviously it's Super Mario 64 related. So essentially, after each lap or a specific amount of time during the course, the gears will change and it will change directions of which way they're going. So they'll maybe going one way in one direction, but in another lap they'll go into another direction. And the hands will do the same way. They'll go in one direction and then they'll go to another direction. It's sort of a tricky course, but I always like the Tick-Tock Clock for some reason. I always did. It's something kind of weird. I don't know why. But, yeah, that's about all there is to about Mario Kart DS courses. Well, not Mario Kart DS courses, but rather Tick-Tock Clock. I mean, there's the gears changing, and there's the whole aspect of the hands getting in your way. And yeah, and there's also boost pads. So, yeah. The second Mario Kart DS course is Wario Stadium. Not to be too confused by the Nintendo 64 version of Wario Stadium. This one is completely different. Except obviously it's by Wario and it's still off-road. It has mud, it has fire spinners, and it also has ramps. And I like all of that. I mean, I really do like all of that. There's this one ramp section where you can, after the beginning turns, there's a ramp, and then after that you go through a series of boost paths to go across the mud, which is something identical to Toad's Factory, which I always liked for some odd reason. Then there's also the ramps to avoid go through the fire circles, and then you have to avoid the fire spinners if you want to go to the shortest path and get an item, obviously. I believe you can get an item with that. Then there's also another ramp you can take, like right there. I'm pretty certain I'm going in the exact path that I'm actually pointing this out. Then there's also bumps, identical to Wario Stadium from the Nintendo 64 version. Take that one turn, go to the ramp, and you're at the finish line. I always liked that course. I never really understood why. I really never understood why. I just honestly never understood why. I guess it's because it plays Waluigi Pinball. It's Steam. I guess. I don't know. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. The last Mario Kart DS course is Bowser Castle. Yeah, I decided to put 2 Bowser Castles in this sort of retro courses. I mean, there were 2 in Mario Kart Wii, so why not? This Bowser Castle in particular is probably my personal favorite out of the all Bowser's Castles in the whole Mario Kart franchise. I always liked the whole contraptions that they always put on here, like the spinning gear that would go against you, the flamethrowers to get to the fastest path, the drums trying to get in your way, which they always did anyways, and then there's also the moving platforms with the lava, and then finally the cylinder before the moving platforms over the lava, which honestly, if you fall off that cylinder, you're going through the longer path, and if you successfully pass that whole cylinder part, then obviously you're going in the faster path, and that's actually something I always like. There's a slower path and then there's a faster path. Of course, obviously, you can't really stick items there. Well, you could actually. I think I usually put an item right before the cylinder to troll people. So yeah, you could actually do that. And yeah, that was about all there was to about Bowser Castle DS. So yeah. Up next we have Grumble Volcano from Mario Kart Wii. We're going to do Mario Kart Wii courses now. Before you go ahead and dislike me for saying that, why did you choose Grumble Volcano, VG? Why'd you choose Grumble Volcano out of all the Mario Kart Wii courses as a retro? Okay. Forget about the glitch, okay? Forget about the glitch. Let's forget about the glitch that is game-breaking, okay? Let's completely forget about that, because that ruined the entire course for me. I loved Grumble Volcano. I loved it. And I'm not even joking. I loved Grumble Volcano before I even discovered this glitch. I mean, even after when I discovered the glitch, I didn't even hate Grumble Volcano, but after when I played Mario Kart Wii Online, and the fact that people constantly kept doing the glitch, it kind of was stupid annoying. So that kind of ruined the course for me. But when I replayed the course again for this footage, it was still an amazing course for me. I always liked the whole fireballs trying to hit you, and the giant fire trying to hit you, and the fire snakes that were large and try to hit you, and the whole sinking land and trying to mess you up and making the areas thinner. I mean, it's really a good course. It's just that one glitch that completely screws it up. And if Nintendo does make this a retro, they have to completely remove that glitch. So, honestly, I'm really wanting this course to be a retro, if they can actually remove this glitch. If not, then oh well. I still would like this course to be on there, because I loved Grumble Volcano. I liked its theme, I loved everything about it. I liked Grumble Volcano if it wasn't for that stupid glitch. So, just ignore the glitch, and Grumble Volcano is a perfectly good course. To me, anyways, to me. After that rant is over, we're going to the second Mario Kart Wii course, Dry Dry Ruins. Now, Dry Dry Ruins has a few hazards. You still have the couple of pokies that will try to block your way. There's the swoopers, or, you know, if you don't know what the bats names are, that's what they're called, they're swoopers. But additionally, there's that little bridge that has water. You can end up falling there, but that's not very likely. But some of the major hazards is obviously the sand. There's the falling pillars that can mess you up. There's also the sand in the ruins that can also mess you up. And that's about all there is to it for the whole hazards. But honestly, the course design I always liked, and the fact that much like Grumble Volcano, much like Tick-Tock Clock, it changes over time. So it's kind of a nice little whole thing to keep the track a little bit more fresh, because it changes over time. The sand gathers up more in the ruins, all the pillars will fall down, and it's a nice little gimmick. So, yeah, and also if you didn't know, in Mario Kart Wii, the Yoshi head in the Sphinx, it would actually change its head if you were using the Mii. So, yeah, thought I would let you know about that, in case you didn't know. Now we're on to the final Mario Kart game of the series so far. Mario Kart 7 for the Nintendo 3DS. Yeah, as you can see, it's Rock Mountain for the first 3DS course, and this one is actually not really bad course. I always liked Rock Mountain, I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the whole cave area, and then the forest area in the middle, and the whole fact that on the final stretch you had to avoid boulders. And of course, you can't really see which side has the boulder first whenever you're gonna first climb up. But when you first climb up, you can actually see, you can sort of see where the boulder is coming, and that's actually sort of a nice little deal. So honestly, I always like that whole idea that you don't know where the boulder is gonna come whenever you actually are first climbing up the mountain. I always like that whole thing. It's sort of like a, you know, an all or nothing sort of deal. I mean, there is a ramp in the middle, so in case you're like not brave enough to try going on one of those boost pads, you can always do that. So, yeah. And yeah, that was essentially about it, about the course. But honestly, Rock Mountain, nice course. I always liked it. Now, the last course of my whole retro course ideas for cups and ideas as such is Piranha Plant Slide. And this one is my personal favorite Mario Kart 7 course, and it's sort of Super Mario 3D Land based, and that's probably why I like it so much, because at first you're going through a slide that makes you go into a pipe, which is always a nice little cool little deal, and then you can, and then there's items floating across the pipe area, sewer area, or whatever, which is always a nice cool thing. You have to avoid the piranha, and the Goombas that are going to get in your way. Then there's blocks that you can climb up on and, well, jump on and just do that. And then pipes, you just float around, go into the underwater section, avoid another piranha plant, or you can go up to the higher platform if you wanted to. And then you can fly up to the final section, avoid the waterfalls in the pipes, and then you can either skip through the final turns for a good finish, or you can just take the turns for if you don't have a mushroom or star or whatever. Honestly, I always liked Piranha Plant Slide. I don't know why. I always liked the design. I always liked how it's played out, and yeah, it was always a nice little course to me. So yeah, that was all 16 of my final list of retro courses that I thought of for cups. And as you could tell, I added 2 courses well, I added one extra course for the GBA and the DS side of things. Now, if you're curious of knowing why I did that, because I wanted to make it as even as possible, but I couldn't think of how to do it, so I decided to choose which courses I would like to see the most, so I decided to choose those two. So yeah, that's about all I could think of. I mean, if Nintendo is gonna add retro courses, this is what I can think of. If they want to make it even, they'll have to make it 2 per game, and then they'll have to add either another game. They'll have to have 2 courses for one of. They'll have to add another course for 2 of the games. So yeah, that's why I decided GBA and DS would be 2 of the would have an extra course. I mean, it could be any of them, but Mario Kart 64 has already had most of his courses done in retros, so Nintendo's gonna run out of those retro ones. The only reason why I put 2 of them on there is because I wanted to make it as even as possible. Of course, if Nintendo is intending to make a Mario Kart 9, which is more or less likely, then obviously they'll probably end up putting at least around 2 per game. I know I didn't do battle courses, but then again, I don't really play the battle mode all that much, even though I did play it a lot in Mario Kart DS. But if they did actually add a retro, by the way, Nintendo, why don't you add the DS battle course? I always thought that was actually a kind of a nice little reference to the Nintendo DS. I always kind of like that. I don't know why. So yeah, that was all of my retro courses in a nutshell. This was my outro, being delayed without a doubt, but then again, that's my old theme of it. I always do my outros very long for whatever stupid reason. And yeah. So, if you guys actually have any ideas of your own for retros, or if you're interested in mentioning what kind of retros you want to actually see, or even characters, or even some ideas of new courses for Mario Kart U, go ahead and mention them in the comments. I'm actually interested in hearing them. But otherwise, yeah, that's about all there is to it. I think that wraps it up for this video. So I'll see you all next time when I'll be doing another video, and this will probably be my 599th video, knowing myself. So yeah, this has been VGManiac456 signing out.